Hi, I'm Andrea Doyle, Workplace Mediator and Conflict Manager. In this post, I'm presenting you with some tips that you could use if and when you ever have somebody walk out of a mediation. Now, this happened to me recently. We hadn't long started the process. The participants had presented their issues, heard their issues read back to them, presented a draft agenda, and they were in agreement with the agenda. I then wrote the agenda on the board, and they had agreed which topic they would talk about in which order. From there, moving back to my seat, a comment was made by one participant to the other. And it was at that time that one of them stood up and said, "I need to leave the mediation." Now, also in this mediation were support people for both participants. So, participant on the left-hand side of the room stood up and left, closely followed by their support person. So it's important when this occurs to you that you realise that you leave the process to one side because this situation calls for it. So in dealing with this walkout, I then proceeded to let the people in the room know that I was going outside to check in on the other participant. So they were familiar with what I was doing. I went outside, the other participant was talking with their support person, and it was at that time that it was important for me to check in with them as to what was it that brought you to the mediation? What was it that you were hoping to achieve from having the conversation here today? So when this participant had some time to think about that, because they were visibly upset from the comment that had been made, they then spoke about what they had initially hoped to achieve from today. That was then followed up by some reality testing. So if you choose to leave the mediation now, how do you see another way that you could achieve those outcomes? The person needed some time, more time than probably usual, to think of a response because of the emotions that they were also dealing with. I probably had 5 to 7 minutes with that participant and their support person, and then I let them know that I was going to go back inside to the other participant and have a check-in with them as well to see where they were going. Now, the good news is the mediation did proceed. We actually had to have 2 more private sessions after this initial one, but that's okay because that's what the participants needed on the day to help them get through the mediation. An agreement was achieved, and it was what both participants were seeking early on in the day. So it's important that if you're ever managing a conflict through a process, that you're prepared to put that process on hold and to start asking questions around the reality testing, but also giving the participants time to respond and time to think of their responses. And it may feel like this is a very long, drawn-out process for you, but remember, it's not about you, it's about the participants and helping them work through their conflict. I hope you've gained some valuable tips here that you can use if you ever need to manage a walkout in a conflict, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks very much for watching. Okay, bye for now.